I feel like I got to know you and your work so well over the last couple of years. And most recently, I covered the remaking of Malibu Line for the New York Times. How many of you have seen Malibu Line? Good. You live with it. You live with it. And it was a really profound experience for me to be there when Lita was finishing this work that brought her full circle in a way, remaking a work from 1978, reconceiving it too. And usually when I finish a story, I've been working on it for 2 or 3 weeks, I finish it, I print out my interviews, I file it away, and then move on to the next big story. In this case, it didn't work that way. I kept on thinking about her work. I felt that if you know Leah's work, and you can feel it being around the space, feel it in the space, it has reverberations, and it really did for me. So I found myself a few weeks after I had filed my story, published the story, Lita had finished showing Malibu Line to the world, found myself still thinking about her work, and that's when I ended up writing this essay for a newish magazine called Color Tone. It's published a couple times a year. This is coming out in the fall issue, which is being released next week. You can find the issue itself is online, but if you are interested in being up to date, you have a website, you can order it online or find out where your bookstore, which bookstores carry it. My T-shirt, which says Mother Voter, comes from the Mother's Home. Very proudly, I am a mother and I am a voter. Which one comes first? I will not say. So I just found myself thinking about my experience with her work and the gift that her work is. So I'm going to read to you just the first couple sections. You don't need the whole thing. But the first couple sections of this essay, which is called 5 Views from Above, or How to Change Your Perspective. And as you'll see, it begins with Lita. Part 1. Lita Albuquerque is crouching over a shallow trench in Malibu, her hands dusted with ultramarine pigment. It's her signature color, a keen. She hasn't heard this, by the way. It's her signature color, a keen, almost vibratory blue that cuts through the gray of the overcast day. She speaks about its sense of mystery while holding a cup of this stuff in powder form, shaking it into the trench to make her artwork Malibu Line. A brilliant blue stripe on the land, designed to visually connect the earth to sea and sky. I'm there to witness the completion of the artwork and interview her on the ground, as they say. But when I'm scrambling along the trench, the wheatgrass scratching my ankles, I don't get the full effect. To really see the line and how it reaches towards the ocean, I have to climb up the hillside behind it. And the more time I spend level with the artwork, the more I imagine what it looks like from a bird's eye point of view. In effect, floating outside of my own ride. A California artist with Tunisian roots, Lita specializes in creating this sort of expansiveness of perspective, which I feel in my body is a form of weightlessness. Her Spine of the Earth from 1980 consisted of a large spiral that she drew in a dry red in the Mojave Desert with red, yellow, and black pigment. You could walk around the spiral, some 600 feet in diameter, without grasping its entirety. The form really crystallizes from high above. In this way, it looks like a message to or from the gods, or maybe a solar calendar in the spirit of Chichen Itza. Stellar axis from 2006, perhaps the most ambitious artwork ever made in America, is another galactic missive. For this installation, Lita positioned 99 ultramarine spheres on the Ross Ice Shelf in a precise pattern to mirror the brightest constellations above. The idea came to her when working in Egypt, and I'm quoting, "One day I just got this flash of seeing the planet from outer space," she said. It had nothing on it but gold-tipped pyramids aligned to the stars. I thought, what an extraordinary image. Not all earthworks that I've seen as a journalist in my years as an art journalist have this goal. Andy Goldsworthy, you might have seen his spire in San Francisco, which was made to blend in with the forest around it. James Turrell's Roman crater at Flagstaff mainly consists of different viewing chambers carved into the dormant volcano. Although you do wonder what an alien species would make of the island volcano, this beautifully sculpted concrete granite or observation plaza. And of course, the bulk of Western art is made to be hung on the walls at about 5'5" tall, so we don't even have to bend our necks, let alone imagine from above. Instead, many of Albuquerque's earthworks assume a psychological decline, while her use of the ultramarine blue gives her work a sense of plenitude. She connects the color to the time she spent as a young child in Carthage, where she attended a Catholic boarding school overlooking the Mediterranean. That's where she first started thinking about the vastness of the sea and doing these open water swims, which she still does these days as a form of meditation. Swimming, like art, a tool for defying the gravity of your own body and the limits of your fixed, earth-bound perspective. Part 2. I can't count the number of times my kids, now 9 and 4, have hijacked my train of thought with calls of mommy, mom, or mother, as my oldest now says, trying to play cool, still making frequent, unrelenting demands. But there have also been moments where I have experienced strangely calming, even liberating slippage between my thoughts and theirs. The first time this happened, Vanessa was a baby, maybe 5 months old. By then, she slept in a crib in her own room, but not through the night. She was fussy, colicky, acid reflux, pretty inconsolable as babies go. And we were too scared of SIDS to let her sleep on her stomach. That was a problem, and she rolled down any thoroughly researched and unreasonably expensive wedge device we bought and land slumped at the foot of her crib. So I often ended up taking her into bed with me and letting her sleep on me, on my chest, inclined, in the middle of the night, somehow convinced that my presence alone would keep her safe from a sudden death. We would go to sleep like that, or back to sleep like that, together. One night she drifted off around midnight, as usual. Only this time, I woke up first before her. Already rehearsal, looking down at her porcelain, pale, blue-veined eyelids for a few minutes before she opened her eyes. Then, as she woke up, I felt something slip. I could suddenly see myself from her point of view as this warm, lumbering, sort of mommy mountain man. 2 minutes before, I felt like I was holding her. Now, I felt like she was holding me. The sensation was so strong that it would come back to me over the next few months, kind of balm for sleep when I needed it the most. As my kids have grown, one of my biggest parenting challenges has been seeing things from their point of view. I can't or won't always do it. But then, unexpectedly, there is the borrowed wonder of helping my son fly a kite for the first time and seeing it lurch into the sky from the eyes of the fire. Or there's the stomach ache that I feel when holding my daughter's hair back as she throws up from her car sickness once again. For a true empath, I'm thinking about David Butler's Parable of the Sower, who the hero of that novel, who literally feels the pain of others. I can imagine that kind of slippage happening all the time, even with strangers. For me, parenting has been the most powerful, also unpredictable, way of getting outside of myself. And one more part here, part 3. Western, Eastern, and indigenous religions alike all have plenty of rituals designed to extend and expand our consciousness. Hallucinogens, too. I'm not an expert on either, but for a time in my English PhD program, I specialized in American transcendentalists like Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great hallucinatory folk philosopher. Years later, I even tried to name our first born Emerson, but my husband saved me and Jonah from that bit of precociousness. If you haven't read Emerson, the essay we begin with is called Circles from 1841. Do you have any circle paintings here? So many circles. Circles starts with one of the best setups in all of literature, establishing the human eye as the first circle, the horizon it creates as the second circle, and nature as a series of superseding circles. And I'm quoting now, "Our life is an apprenticeship to the truth that around every circle another can be drawn, that there is no end in nature, but every end is a beginning, that there is always another dawn risen on mid-noon, and under every deep, a lower deep opens," he wrote. It reminds me of the opening of the TV show Cosmos, if you've seen the kind of remake version by Neil deGrasse Tyson, where an image of caldera dissolves into a human pupil, and a Nautilus shell gives way to the spiral of the Milky Way. But for Emerson, the ever-expanding circle is also his metaphor of choice, describing our ability to expand our consciousness, which he sees as a divine gift. The rest of his essay offers what I think of as a metaphysical toolkit, exploring different ways we might extend our perspective. Reading is one. He writes, "The use of literature is to afford us the platform," makes it sound like books or letters, "whence we may command a view of our present life, a purchase by which we may move it." So I know the use of literature, a purchase by which we may move our life. We fill ourselves with ancient learning, install ourselves the best we can in Greek and Roman houses, only that we may wisely see French, English, and American houses and modes of living. This passage concludes with a comment worthy of deGrasse Tyson. "The astronomer must have its diameter of the Earth's orbit as a base to find the parallax of any star." And then Emerson delivers a perfectly rounded aphorism, which reminds me of Lita's birth. "The field cannot be seen. The field cannot well be seen." Let me try that again. "The field cannot be well seen from within the field." And I'm going to stop there. The rest of the essay is coming up next week. And thank you, Lita, for giving me
fantastic to be able to be the first here to hear this, and I really love the combination of talking first about consciousness and perspective and things from above. You hear me? And then you go into your child.
Without it's too
I can hardly see anybody now. Yeah, this time right into my own, which is part of what my work is about, is to be conscious all the time of where the sun is in relationship to your skin. Anyway, the combination that you wrote that goes from the cosmic to the human, and this is what they showed us. I called it our skin. I
It started actually a long time ago, but